Hey, what's up, guys? Valley Flying here. I am back. Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm talking about almost everything you ever wanted to know about the status effects in Marvel Strike Force. And the reason I say almost, just in case I accidentally missed something, but my intent is to make this video as thorough as possible so you don't have to wonder what's going on when you talk about these status effects ever again. Been seeing a lot of questions on Reddit. Had one on my channel. Been meaning to make this for a while, and now's the time. It actually took me a while to get all these screenshots just because some of these don't happen a lot. But let's get into it. What are status effects? Let's look at this screenshot right here. Do you see? Let's look at Luke Cage right here. He has a red circle and a green circle above his head. Well, these are both status effects. The red is a negative status effect, also called a debuff. And then you got this green one, which is a positive status effect, also called a buff. And each of them have different symbols. And if you hold on the status effect, you click on it, hold on it on your game, they'll have this little pop-up come up, and it tells exactly what these are. So you know exactly what these are. And I'll be going through what these are, just reading what it says in the game. And then I'll be talking about the characters and then a little more details, because some of these aren't super descriptive. Some of them can be kind of confusing. Some of them are pretty obvious. I mean, just by the names, they're pretty obvious. But I'm going to read all of them and tell which characters do each of them. So let's get into the basics. Let's go into these characters first. And let's go into Quake. And if you click on this button right here, you can see her stats. Now, the two stats that are important in status effects is this thing called Focus and this other one called Resistance. Now, Focus, if you read it, says capability to apply effects to the target. So this is, the more focus you have, the better chance you have of applying these status effects. And Resistance is capability to resist effects. Now, I'm assuming this means negative effects because I've never seen any positive effect not go on your own characters. But basically, the higher resistance you have, the better it is for resisting all these negative effects or all these debuffs. And, so if you have a character with low focus and you're trying to apply these status effects and you're going against someone that has a lot of resistance, well, chances are you're probably not going to apply them, but there's a slight chance that you can. Now, how do we put these on and get these off? Well, there's some skills that have these status effects. Let's go into Quake. Her first skill, Seismic Blast, she can apply slow to the primary target and adjacent targets for 2 turns. So, damaging effect. Slow is a nasty one. But then let's go down to someone like Karath here, because on his takedown shot, his third skill right there, he can apply a heal block, which I don't like, and then he has a 30% chance to apply ability block. So focus, resistance out of the play. He's only applying this 30% of the time. This is at level 2 though, so this is something that goes up as you level up this skill. I don't have him leveled up, but so some characters can apply this right off the bat. Some have a chance to apply it, and then you have to take focus and resistance to account whether it'll actually happen or not. The higher the focus you have, the more chance you have of applying these status effects. Now, let's go into Jessica Jones, because she is a good example of how to get some of these off. So if we look at her second skill, she can clear negative effects from all allies. In this level 4, she can clear 2. So if you have a bunch of things like slow, that's slowing down your characters, or they're stunned, or their defense is down, so they're taking a lot of extra damage, well, she could get this off your team. And then on her third skill, Rejection, at level 4, she's clearing 1 to 2 positive effects from whatever she's targeting. So if you use this skill on a tank, well, there's chances are that she could remove the taunt, and you could get around the taunt and attack the characters that you really want to attack, because most of the time you don't want to be attacking tanks. And those are the ways to apply it. That's how to get it off. Let's talk about what all of these status effects are. All right, so the first status effect I want to talk about is ability block. Now, this one can be really nasty if you get this applied to you, because you can't use any of your abilities. You can't use your second skill, and if you're a normal character, not a minion, you can't use your third skill either. So let's read exactly what it says. And the symbol is this lock kind of thing, and it's red. It's a you cannot use your special or ultimate abilities. Who can do these? Well, they're both on the screen. You got Karath right here. He has a chance to do it with his third skill, and you got Ronan right here that can do it. So it's not something you have to worry about. Vision can do it, but he's not in the game. Ultimus, most people don't have him. So I don't consider him in the game yet. And those are the only characters that can do this ability box. It's real nasty, though. It's a nasty status effect that you probably want to avoid. And let's go into the next status effect, and that is Bleed. So let's read what it says. Bleed. Take damage equal to a percentage of the source character's damage each turn. Now, the percentage, I believe, is 10%. And the source character, I think what they're talking about here is the character that applied the bleed. I could be wrong, which is why I said almost everything, but this can kill you. So this is not going to just take you all the way down. This could actually kill you. So this is a nasty, nasty status effect if you get this applied to you and you have low health, because you could die. And if you don't have anybody to remove this, or you don't have anybody that's healing you, it's done. So beware of bleed. Who can apply bleed? Well, Aim Assaulter can apply bleed. Black Widow can apply bleed. Elektra, Ravager, Stitcher, Winter Soldier, and Wolverine. Which takes us to our next status effect, and that is Blind. Now, this is something that confuses a lot of people, the way this works. Now, the way this works is, if we read this, decrease accuracy by 100%. Now, for most characters, this will bring their accuracies down to 0, which means they're going to miss their next attack. There are 2 exceptions that I know of, though, and that is Hawkeye. Let's go into his stats real quick. If we look, he has an accuracy of 170%, which means even if you apply blind to him, he still has a 70% chance to get his hit off. And then the other character is the character that's already blind. That's Daredevil. And if we look at his accuracy, it's 205%, which means that even if you take off 100% of his accuracy, he still has 105%, which means most likely he's hitting you. Now, most likely I say because there's also evade and some of these dodge that you have to take into account, but most likely he's getting his attack off. And who can apply blind? Well, there's only one character in the game right now that could apply blind, and that's Hawkeye. He could do that with his 3rd skill, the one that does that to everybody. Now, Mordo can do that, Star-Lord can do that. They're in the game, but they're not playable characters, so you can't do it with them, but watch out for it if you have them, and just know what it does. And the symbol is this, where is it? Where's blind? Right here. It's this eye, and it has a X through it. So if you see that, I know when you're playing on the mobile game, it's kind of hard to even see what these things are, but that is what blind does. Let's move on to our next thing, and that is counterattack. Now, this one works a little different than most games. This is, if we look at this shield operative right here, he has 2 counterattacks, which means that if you hit him, he's going to hit you back, and he's still going to have it because he'll have 1. This counterattack, if we read it, it says counterattack being attacked by an enemy. This only lasts for that 1 turn. Now, the exception is if you have multiple of these like this shield operative does. But that is pretty much all that's going to do. Who has this counterattack, though? I think the damage goes down on these counterattacks, by the way. But who has these counterattacks? Well, Black Panther has an ability to counterattack. Crossbones has it. Daredevil, Drax, Kree Royal Guard has a counterattack. Nebula, Rocket Raccoon, Shield Trooper, and Thanos. They all have counterattacks. Now, some of these guys can do more than 1 counterattack. Some of them just have 1. But that's pretty much what it does. Next, let's move on to Death Proof. Now, this is an important one, especially for your tanks, because this means that they can't die. Now, you could have multiple of these. I know Crossbones can do 2 Death Proofs when he does his big detonate ability. But what is Death Proof? Well, attacks that would normally defeat this character instead would reduce their health down to 1. So, you know, you get a big, no matter how strong the attack is, the character's not going to die. So if you have a real big ultimate ability, probably best not to use it on someone that has Death Proof. And what is Death Proof? It's this green symbol. If we look right above Luke Cage, you can see it a little better. And it's kind of, I guess it's supposed to be a skull inside of this shield. So that is what Death Proof is. Who has Death Proof? Well, we talked about Crossbones. He could do Death Proof, but Hulk has it. Hydra Scientist has a Death Proof. Luke Cage has a Death Proof. Groot has a Death Proof. He's a non-playable character, so be cognizant of that if you are facing him. Let's move on to the next one, and that is defense up. Now, what is defense up? Let me find it here on my list. Here it is. Now, what does that symbol look like? Well, it is just kind of this shield. There's a lot of characters that actually do this, but what does this do? It decreases the incoming damage by 50%. So you're only taking half the damage, and it increases your resistance. We talked about resistance. That's the ability to apply to resist some of these status effects that are coming in. It's going to increase your resistance by 50%. So that's going to bring that up a lot. So you might want to think twice if you have a low focus character that is trying to apply these status effects to someone that has defense up, because they're going to have increased resistance. Who can put defense up to your characters? Well, Captain America can. Drax has a defense up ability. Hand sorcerers can do it to all your characters. Groot has it. We talked about him. He's a non-playable character, but he's going to have it. Kingpin, defense up. Luke Cage, Mercenary Riot Guard, Nick Fury, Ravager Bruiser, and Vision, another non-playable character at this point. Opposite of defense up, we have defense down. Now, this can be a nasty one when this is applied to you, because what this means is you're increasing your incoming damage by 50%. So that could be huge. That could be huge, especially if you have someone with defense down and they're going up against a big attack. Wolverine's on the screen. He has a big attack. You know, if he hit, who is this guy? Black Panther. With this symbol right above his head, that ultimate attack is doing a lot of damage, probably killing him, because this Black Panther doesn't have a lot of health. But you're also decreasing resistance by 50%, which means even if you have low focus, there is a good chance that you could apply this, whatever status effects that you're trying to apply to the character, because their resistance is going down by a half. Huge, huge, huge. Who can apply defense down? Well, there's a few of them. Aim Infector, Aim Monstrosity. Aim Monstrosity actually applies it to himself. Loki can do it. He's not in the game yet as a non-playable character. Red Skull, same thing. He's not in the game except as a non-playable character. Spider-Man and Vision. So pretty much Spider-Man. I said a lot, but I was wrong. It's actually the only Spider-Man that could do it, because these other characters aren't really in the game. Next attack. Oh, they're not in the game as playable characters. Next status effect, is evade. Let's talk about evade. Let's look at what this does. Pretty much means you're evading attack. You're dodging the next attack is what it says. So pretty simple. And what does that symbol look like? I'm not sure what this is supposed to be, but you are evading the attack. Not much to talk about there. Let's look at what it does. I mean, who has this? Elektra has an evade. Hand Sentry has an evade. He actually applies this to other characters. He doesn't apply this to himself. He applies this to all of him, which makes him pretty good. Loki has an evade, Nebula, and so does Spider-Man. The next one is also pretty self-explanatory, and that is a heal block. I've talked about this because I don't like this effect. My arena team doesn't really affect it too much because I don't have a lot of healing on my arena team. But basically, you can't be healed. It's nasty, especially if someone applies this heal block to your tank, because your tank is supposed to be getting all that damage and you have no way to heal that tank. This is a nasty one. This is nasty. Who has heal block? Well, we already talked about Karath having it, but Kree Reaper has it, Winter Soldier has it, Mordo has it, Hand Assassin has it, and Aim Assaulter has ability to apply heal block to himself. Next ability, Offense Down. This is pretty much the opposite of defense down, but offense down. Decrease outgoing damage by 50% and decrease focus by 50%. So this is a good effect to apply to someone's big damage dealer, especially if it's an AoE damage dealer. You can reduce all the damage that they have by 50%. And then focus. So if you got someone like Quake that has a big AoE attack, he has defense down, and then she has the ability to apply slow and offense down to everybody. You got this, or offense down. You decreasing her focus, you're decreasing the chance that she's actually applying all of these effects. And what does this look like? Well, it's like a big explosion symbol with an arrow on it. And again, like I said, you might not be able to see this in the game, but who has offense down? Well, Aim Infector, Aim Researcher, Crossbones, Doctor Strange has offense down, Iron Fist applies it to himself, kind of like these aim guys. Quake can apply it to everybody on with her AoE attack, which is she's a nasty character. Shield Medic and Thanos has offense down, offense up. Other opposite of offense down. And what is that? Well, you're increasing your outgoing damage by 50% and increasing the focus by 50%. So this is really, if you can apply this to someone that has a big AoE attack, and if you look at this screenshot, got a bunch of guys with offense up here. You could kill the whole other team. So this could be a nasty one if timed right and used on the right character. But that increased offense is really, really strong. And then if this is applied to someone that's applying debuffs to the other team, you're increasing their focus. You're increasing the chance of them being applied. Who has offense up? A Monstrosity, Black Panther, Gamora, Hydra Sniper, Kingpin, Kree Noble, Kree Cyborg has it, Mercenary Lieutenant, Nick Fury, Red Skull, Ultimus, Wolverine, Yondu. So there's a bunch of people that can do this in some way or another. Some do it to themselves, some do it to their whole team. And then let's move on. Regeneration. So this one, before I read this, I thought this was coming back to life when I was like my first couple days in the game, because I saw Luke Cage has it. Oh, he's going to come back to life. And then when they hit him, he died and he just stayed dead. Well, that's not what it does. I didn't know that you could hold this down at that point. But regeneration, you're healing by 10% of the source character's max health each turn. Now, when it says source character, I'm assuming this means the character that applied this heal. So you're getting 10% of that character's max health is the way that I'm reading this. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments down below. But who has this regeneration, the ability to apply this? Well, I already talked about Luke Cage. Kree Oracle can do this. Night Nurse can do this to the whole team. That's why she's such a strong character for the raid. She does this big heal, and then she applies regeneration to everybody. Really, really strong. Shield Medic, Shield Operative, and Wolverine has this regeneration to himself. Pretty. I like that they have this on him. Well, the next ability, or the next debuff that we're talking about, is slow. And again, this one's pretty obvious, but what this does is you're decreasing the speed by 50%. So this is another nasty one, especially in Arena, because that means your speed bar is not filling up quickly, and then you're not getting as many turns. So if you get someone applying speed up to your whole team, and then you got slow to all of the other team, you're in a really, really good position, which is why Black Widow and Quake are such a powerful duo together. Who can do slow? Well, I just talked about Quake doing that, but Aim Effector, Aim Security, Mordo, Karath the Pursuer, Night Nurse can do it, Shield Trooper, Shield Medic, Shield Security, and those are the guys that could either do slow to the other team or themselves. Speed Up. This is probably one of the best effects in the game as far as what it actually does for your team. This is why Black Widow's such a strong character, because she could do speed up to the whole team, and speed up is opposite of slow. It increases the speed by 50%, so you're getting a lot more turns. Black Widow doesn't do a lot of damage, but this speed up to the whole team really helps anybody that has her on the team. And who has speed up? Oh, this is Black Widow. Hulk can do this if his health drops below a certain point. Karath the Pursuer, Mercenary Lieutenant, and Nebula, they all can do speed up. Next one is Stealth, and this one I think is kind of obvious as well, but let's check it out. Stealth characters cannot be targeted if other targets are available. So if everybody's stealthed, well, you can target whoever you want. But let's look at this guy. I think this is, who is that? That's a shield guy. Anyway, shield security maybe. But anyway, you can't target him, and you can only target these other guys first. The only way you could target him is if this stealth wears off or all these other characters are dead. So this is a nasty skill if you're trying to get it. I mean, all of these can be really nasty. I said that a lot, but it's good. Black Widow can do it to herself. So can Elektra. Hand Sorceress has a chance to do it. Hand Sentry does it to all of your team. So he's kind of a reverse tank because he doesn't taunt, but he stealths everybody else. Loki can do it when he gets into the game. Shield operative. And that is all that can do. Stealth, stun. I think this one's pretty obvious as well about what this is, but if we read what it says in the game, you're gonna miss your next turn. You cannot dodge or block while stunned. So we talked about Captain America in our previous video. He has that high block chance. Well, if he's stunned, he's not blocking anything. And he can't dodge it. So if Spider-Man's stunned, he's not dodging any attacks. So you're pretty much gonna hit. Unless your accuracy is all the way down to 0. Well, who can do stun and stun to other characters? Black Widow, again. She's just the queen of all these status effects. Mordo has it. Shield Security has it. Spider-Man and Thor has it on his big AoE, that big electrical attack. He's a big AoE. Plus, he can stun all the characters. Good stuff. Taunt. This one is really important. I talked a little bit about this. But let's look at exactly what it says in the game. Taunting characters must be targeted first. So this is kind of opposite of stealth. You have to attack this character unless unless you remove it or unless this wears off. That's pretty much it. Or if it's AoE or you're getting an adjacent attack. But other than that, you have to really get this character. And this is perfect for tanks, and that's why most tanks have this on them. Aim Security. Captain America has this. Crossbones. Drax. Hulk has a taunt. Korath the Pursuer can apply this to the other team. Kree Royal Guard, Luke Cage, Mercenary Riot Guard, Kingpin. He doesn't have a taunt, but he can summon characters that have a taunt. And Ravager Bruiser, Rocket Raccoon can apply this to Groot. And those are all the main abilities or status effects in the game. There are a few other things that I did want to mention though. There are some characters, particularly the aim characters, that could apply some random effects. So I didn't mention them in the video as far as what they could apply, but they could do some random effects. So can Doctor Strange and Mordo. Both of them do some random effects, either to themselves or the enemy. I did also want to mention some unique things that are kind of unique to certain characters. They're not technically effects that you're applying, but it's a unique ability, and you're able to call some characters to help you attack. Now, in Loki's case, his ability, Mind Control, and you're getting 1 to 2 enemies to attack the primary target. In the case of Nick Fury, on his passive, he could call heroes from his team to go attack the enemy. So you're getting the extra attackers from different places, but it's pretty much the same thing. Nick Fury can do that on his passive. Kingpin, he has that on his passive, and he has that here on his boss's orders. He has a chance for allies to assist attacking enemies, and Ultron has that on his basic. So 70% chance to get a range assist from an Ultron minion. And the last thing I did want to mention is Revive, because it's not a status, but it's kind of a unique ability. And there's a few characters that have this ability. Elektra can revive herself. Nebula has a chance to revive herself. And so can Ultron and Wolverine. And then there's some characters that can revive other characters like Shield Medic. Scientist Supreme could do that. Groot can help to revive. I can't remember if it's allies or himself, but Groot also has a revive, and Nobu has gives all of the hand allies a chance to revive themselves as well. All right, and that is it for status effects. Now, I hope I covered everything, but if I did miss something, please let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them. And if this video helped you out, make sure you click that like button. Would really appreciate it. And would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel, because I got a lot more coming Marvel Strike Force videos. Any questions you have, I'm going to try to answer them all. And I will see you guys next time. Valley Flying out.